Hi kids, who's your favorite clown? Okay, it's Michelle. Last time we left off with the corset almost finished. And this time we're doing bias tape. It's these weird little things that you find in the sewing store that no one knows what to do with. Objects of mysterious origin. Probably invented by the Illuminati, I'm not too sure. This one says bias tape, extra wide, double fold, 3 yards, 1/2 inch wide. So you got some idea of what I've got here. I've got 3 packs of that from the Wrights Company. You can use any brand you want. You can even use vintage if you can find enough of it all at once. And then I've got 1 package that says bias tape, double fold, 4 yards, 1/4 inch white. That's because I couldn't find the same like kind of coffee with cream color for the laces. So I got the smaller, skinnier stuff and I got it in white. I could have gone cocoa brown with the laces and the bias tape. The only problem with going cocoa brown is that, you know, some people might want this all beige because then it would be part of a steampunk safari suit. Or, now there's a lot of different looks you can get with all beige stuff. What's that word I'm looking for? I guess it is safari. I trimmed the edges and then I double checked to make sure that everything matched again. So like for example, the 2 front pieces match. They're the same length. And the 2 shoulder pieces match up. They're the same width, I think. Give or take a tiny little bit. There we go. And so I do have some blue thread showing on this corset. Shame on me, I'm a naughty, naughty, naughty seamstress. And I've got the inside lined in something like white cotton that was part of a remnant. I've got my pieces of boning sewn in here. There's enough space to sew around them so that you don't hit the boning with the sewing machine. Remember what I told you about that? Use your brains, use the think system. This bias tape is cool because it comes in a resealable little plastic envelope. So I don't know if I needed 3 packs with 3 yards each. I just wanted to make good and sure that I had enough. You can iron this stuff if you want to. Just keep it moving under the iron because it's part synthetic. And when you look at bias tape, there's one edge is usually a little shorter than the other edge. You want to put the short edge underneath the project and put the long edge on top. The reason for that being that when you go to stitch this shut, you want to stitch over the seam that you just made stitching the short side on, so that you only have 1 row of stitches and not a whole mess of all erratic stitches crossing over each other. So here I go, I'm putting this in the machine. You don't have to sew this fast at home. You can sew a lot slower if you want to. It's okay to sew slowly. I was going to make this video this morning, and now it's something like 9:02 p.m. I wasted my whole day. I still have a mountain of math homework to do. Yeah, I'm your mom's age and I'm still doing math homework. So if you have any brains at all, You go to community college and you take all the math classes that you can, and you pass as many of them as you can, and that way you get it out of the way before you take out a college loan and go to a big college and waste hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get a major, trying to graduate for some degree that you'll never get because you can't do the math. Okay, here I go. And that's why I never went straight into a 4-year college, because I kept telling my parents, well, I can't afford to pay the loan back, and I'm never going to get the degree because of the math. Okay, so I sewed on the bottom edge. Now I still have this rough looking edge. There's the stitches that I put in with the blue thread last time I did this. Then when you fold it up, you'll have that covering the edge. I bought matching thread, by the way. You need to buy matching thread when you buy your bias tape. That way you can look at it with the tape and make sure that it matches. I'm keeping quiet when I'm doing this because of every false move that you make with your stitches really shows on this bias tape. So you want to do this when you're calm, when you're having a good time. Sew the stitches nice and evenly. Don't do it under stress. Don't wear yourself out. There you have it. One piece of bias tape sewn over the edges. Okay, now I'm going back. Uh-oh, that's my kitty cat meowing in the other room. Hi, Mitten Kitten. If I talk to her, she usually quiets down. We're leaving a tail here. We want to leave this little tail so that we'll have something to wrap over and sew down later on. So I'm sewing from the point in the middle of the back all the way up to the front. I want this little side seam facing the same way as the other one. And generally in sewing, the side seams get facing towards the back. So, meow. Butter, butter, butter. Butter, butter. Butter, butter, butter. I'm facing that side seam where I want it to go. I'm trimming off the excess thread. I'm starting again on top. Okay, now I've got the front of the corset. I'm snipping off the little tail on the front. I'll just put another piece of bias tape over that and roll it up later on. Okay, here's the center back. This tail needs to be sewn down. You can't just snip it off. So I'm folding that over. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, you can do it any way you want to. This is how I do it. And I'm trimming the thread. Snip. There we go. I trimmed all the junk off of this because I'm such a good little seamstress. And there it is. There's the center back. There's the bias tape. That just finishes off the edges so they don't look ugly and fray. And then I'm going to do something that's a little bit harder now. I'm opening up the bias tape. I'm putting the short side on the bottom. I'm going to sew around the curve on the front right here. Okay, I sewed the bottom of the bias tape down. Now I'm sewing the top. I'm sewing carefully. I'm folding this over. I'm looking at it. I'm using the think system. I'm easing into it. See, I'm working a little slower here, watching what I'm doing. All done. I'm just going to cut these off at the edges. And there's one of those. There you have it. Ta-da! Hi, Jessie Cat. Jessie wants my bias tape. Isn't that right, kitty kitty? Yes, he does. Yes, he does want my bias tape, and he's not going to get it. It's mine. Okay. I'm doing the other side. Short side on the bottom, long side on top. Meow. 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 My cat's meowing. I'm going to go over that seam one more time because I don't like the way it came out. Meow. It's a whole video of crazy Michelle meowing at her cats. Here we go again. Okay, I'm cutting the front and the top flush. Cutting all the loose thread off. There's the other front. You're probably thinking that bias tape is expensive and you don't like the way it looks, and that you could probably just do this by turning it inside out. You can. You can take the layers and turn them inside out. But you have to remember a couple of things. I mean, first of all, you need to remember that you would have to put your casing in, and then you would have to slide the boning in the casing later on after you turn it outside out, so you have to figure out the logistics of how that's going to work. And then second of all, when you turn something inside out, you have to trim it really closely around here, around the curves. So keep that in mind. You have to put on a big seam allowance because it's going to shrink up if you don't. I think I'm just going to sew over the side seams one more time. Try to take care of some of this showing blue thread. still can. I'm probably going to send this to somebody, and whoever gets it, I don't want them to have too much thread showing. Although if you have a friend who comes up to you and looks at your costume and gives you a hard time because your thread is showing, it's time to get new friends. I've had people nitpick my sewing when I was younger. It made me a better seamstress, but still, I mean, they would nitpick it up, down, left, right, and center, and I was the only one making all the costumes for stuff, and nobody else was really jumping in and volunteering in some cases. So there we have that. It's much better. Okay, I've got a little pinch in here. That'll be okay. I can fix that later. So now I'm running low on bias tape. You can see how fast this stuff gets used up. There were 3 yards, no. Yeah, 3 yards in here. Now there's like, what, a little more than a yard left, maybe. Now I'm going around the sleeve. That's the underarm. So I think I'll just stitch that down carefully one more time. Remember, the side seams are facing the back. found something I don't like in here. Okay, I'm just going to fix that. I just have one little piece of bias tape left. It looks like it takes about 2 packages, 3 yards each. And now that the memories of sewing corsets are coming back to me, I remember having to sew the bottom side down a couple of times, a lot in the past, and then just sew the top on once. It's like the old expression, measure twice and cut once. You sew twice and then you only have to stitch the top on once, if you're lucky. If your bias tape comes out looking ugly and messed up, you can always sew trimming over it too. Just cover it up with a lot of gigas. Gigas, I say, gigas. That's an old-fashioned word my mom used to use, gigas. It sounds like something carnival folk would say. Look at that dadgum out-of-towner dressed up in all them gigas. Okay, so that's one underarm. It's starting to look more like a corset all the time, isn't it? Now I'm opening my next packet of bias tape. Sewing the other underarm lining first. bottom side first. Okay, so I sewed the bottom once, trimming the thread. Sewing the bottom twice. This is taking a lot of thread too. I might have to stop and rewind my bobbin in a little bit. Not sure. Make sure you don't sew any wrinkles in the bias tape. Be careful how you bend and twist this stuff. Bada. Okay. Trimming the thread, trimming the bias tape, and ooh, so nice. Now I have to do the back. pay extra attention when you're sewing around the corners and back, or else just remember to make your back pattern a little rounded so you don't have to go around corners with bias tape. Something I forgot to tell you because I haven't done this in a while. There you have that. I'm really lucky this time because so far, knock on wood, knock, 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 I've only had to put in like, I haven't had any trouble with any of this bias tape. I haven't had any trouble where it wrinkles up really badly or where anything looks really weird. Like down in here, this is a good place to get messed up. And here, that's a good place to get messed up. You just have to go nice and slow and pay attention to what you're doing. Stitch slowly, give yourself time. Think about what you're doing. I have this last little piece from earlier. I'm going to sew that down the pointy front. Can everybody see that? That's the front where we're going to put the grommets later on. I hope I left myself enough room. It looks like I really didn't. I'm going to sew this with big tails on either side. Big tails right here, right here. Later on, those will get folded over and sewed down. But for now, I'm just avoiding hitting the bias tape the best the boning the best I can. That came out nice. So here we go. Once again, looking at the front, we've got one piece sewn on. We're doing the other side. Remember the long tails? Remember not to hit the boning. Trimming the bias tape. Now I'm trimming the thread. Now I'm sewing over the top. Yeah, it took less than 2 packets of bias tape. I'm finishing off. I'm throwing my extra tape off to the side. There's that side. Now when you fold your edges over, you want to think about keeping them from interfering with the grommets. You want to keep them looking good. So I like to take the front. Here it is. I fold this so that it's like that. Then I fold it under to try to keep the point sharp. The point in front. I'm folding the top one down underneath, trimming it a little shorter. You can hit it up with some fray check if you want to. Don't let it uncurl while you're sewing. Then the front is pretty much all done. Remember, when you're doing the other side, you want these to match up. So you look at it, try to use the think system. Use your brains. go back over this later on, and you can do some hand stitching on there. Putting 2 rows of stitching down the front so it matches the other side. Try to remember that do to one side what you do to the other side, unless you're making your corset asymmetrical on purpose for artistic effect. And since I'm not making this for an actual human, I'm just hoping it fits the mannequin when I'm done for a demonstration. I'm just going to go ahead and sew the shoulders together right now. If you did this on an actual human, you'd want to fit it to the human. But I have no human. No human guinea pig on which to practice my gnarly craft. Here we go. Shoulder number 1. Right sides together. This is where it pays if you got the size of the shoulders matched up perfectly. The shoulders tend to slide around, so you want to be careful when you're sewing them. If you goof up a little bit, remember to forgive yourself. If they're sticking out sideways, you can sew them down with a little bit of thread. Here it is, all ready to go, except for the grommets. This is one sharp, neat, tidy little corset, sized to fit a mannequin. Thank you for watching, and come back again later on and we'll do grommets.